legends. A friend of the channel, Sam from the UK, sent me this morning, and it's absolutely hilarious.
See people jogging and they're breathing through their mouth and they're carrying like 4 different water bottles. They wouldn't need those water bottles if they just learned to breathe through their noses, because the body is designed to capture that moisture. That's what the nose does, and all of those hairs do. And then there's nitric oxide, which is this miraculous molecule that plays an essential role in vasodilation, circulation, and more, and it kills viruses and bacteria. This all happens in the nose. This does not happen in the mouth. See people jogging and they...
Ah, okay. This is pretty interesting. So, according to this guy, you don't have to actually take on fluids and fully hydrate yourself when you're running. All you have to do is just breathe through your nose, and your nose basically acts like an evaporator. Interesting. Let's talk about hydration. Now, I honestly never thought we'd ever get to the point where people on the internet were advocating for not drinking water on runs because your mouth is a little bit dry and you should just breathe through your nose. It doesn't make sense, but we're going to talk about hydration today because it's so important. Okay, in Australia, it's hot as fuck all the time, basically, in summer. And if you're really keen on having optimal performance every day, not just in sporting stuff, but also life itself, hydration is a never-ending battle of constantly trying to make sure that your body is given the right amount of hydration. If you don't have the right amount of hydration, everything goes wrong. You know, brain fog, terrible sleep, low VO2 max, low blood volume, feeling like shit on runs, not being able to do PBs, running slow, all of these are the result of poor hydration strategy. Now, hydration is defined, according to my phone, as the process of causing something to absorb water. So essentially, you need 2 things to be hydrated. Number 1, well, obviously, you need water. Makes sense. Number 2 is the electrolytes. You see, basic, well, maybe not basic physics, but close to basic physics. Your body cannot really absorb water without some sort of molecule pushing it in one direction. If you've never heard of this before, look up the term osmolarity, okay? Water follows concentration gradients of electrolytes. So say you have electrolytes that are at a high concentration to a low concentration, that flow of electrolytes drags water with it. That's because of its osmolarity and because of the characteristics of water, okay? It follows electrolytes. And so the age-old question is, how do you stay hydrated and how do you actually keep yourself in that optimal performance? Because the last thing you want is to bloody have brain fog when you're at your job that you already maybe don't like so much, and then you got to go home and do other stuff and maybe go for a run and everything's just cooked. How do you stay on top of that? Well, you have to have some sort of strategy. And generally speaking, for most people, that strategy can involve just having some electrolytes in your food, you know, adding a little bit of salt here and there. You don't have to add a great deal. Generally speaking, most people get enough salt and sodium and stuff like that from their diet pretty comfortably without any issues ever, unless, from my experience, you start to increase your training load from less than an hour to greater than 1 hour per day. That is when I find that I start to really need to knuckle down on my hydration strategy. And last summer, I realized this and I went down a massive electrolyte rabbit hole because I didn't want to pay for anything to figure out how to actually make my own electrolyte formula. And I'm going to explain how to do that. Step 1 to step 7. Now, step 1 is to buy a running hat. You see, these running hats are specifically designed to actually reabsorb sweat, okay, and actually drip the sweat back down into your nose so that you can actually absorb it, but only if you're nasal breathing whilst you're running. This is the only way that it works. So you have to be wearing the hat and nasal breathing. Welcome 10 at checkout. Get it done. Let's rip this video. Now, it was around this point in the video that my microphone decided to stop working, and I didn't know until 7 p.m. that night. So welcome to the first ever pea stride silent film. Now, during this scene, I'm explaining that clear or yellow pee is okay and you are hydrated, but if it's orange, that is no good. If it's red, you need to go to the hospital, and if it's black, you also need to go to the hospital. Now, hydration for maximal performance. Step 0.5 before you even get started is to breathe through your goddamn mouth. Guys, the only people that are actually telling you to breathe through your nose to run faster are people that run slower than you and probably don't even run at all, actually. Now, step 1 is to bust out the scales, okay? And you're gonna get an initial pre-exercise weigh-in before doing this running test regime. This is the most important step, okay? So get those bloody scales out and get on them. Now, step 2 is the 1 hour running time trial. This is to find your fluid loss that you have per hour. So what you're gonna do is you have the pre-exercise weigh-in, and then you're gonna weigh yourself after your run at different temperatures on different days, okay? What you can actually do is figure out at different temperatures how much fluid you lose per hour. And this will give you a really good idea and a more accurate way of figuring out what the hell is going on with these damn electrolytes in summer. This graph here is really helpful for future estimation. Now, step 4 is to find the average amount of electrolytes that are lost in 1 litre of sweat per hour. Now, luckily for you, I already did the research on this, and I found that it was 800 milligrams of sodium, 250 milligrams of potassium, 80 milligrams of calcium, and 10 milligrams of magnesium. And after I'd done that research, I plugged my microphone back in. Can you believe that? Nice. Watermelon berry flavor can get fucked. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, because you're gonna have to really figure out on the back of the packet what's in each scoop, and then do some basic, well, maybe not basic, do some maths to get the right amount of formula. Like, I'm gonna have to use 2 scoops of this and probably 1 scoop of this to get the same sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium per hour that I need in 1 bottle. That's 1 litre, okay? That's how you have to figure it out. And then you just go bottle at a time. You go, okay, I have to have 1 bottle per hour of this if I'm running at this certain temperature. Now, if you can't be bothered to do all this crap, then that is fair enough. What you can actually do is buy a product from Precision Hydration, okay? Let me try and find it really. So you can use like a Precision Hydration tab like this, and as you can see, it has 1,000 there. They have a whole range of different hydration products that have a specific sodium amount on the actual label. So once you figure out by tinkering with all of this which sodium level actually works for you, you can start to buy something like that and take everything, all the stress out of bloody mixing all this Frankenstein shit together. Now, stage 6 is the testing and adjustment process, okay? It's really annoying. Essentially what you have to do is keep messing with the formula and checking in on how you feel, how well you're going in your workouts, how you feel after your workouts, things like that, to make sure that you're getting the right kind of formula. You know, 800 milligrams of sodium per hour for maybe 50% of the population is not gonna be enough. It's definitely not quite enough for me. I have to bump mine up ever so slightly, probably more towards the 900 to 1,000. But some people might be like 1,500 milligrams of sodium per hour. That's insane. So you have to adjust the formula. This is so important. So there you go, guys. There's the 7-step process. Let me know in the comments below what your milligram of sodium per hour, per liter, per second is, and I'll compare it with mine. See you guys tomorrow.